back to the Dave Nemo Show.
Hey guys, we are over at the ACT Expo here in sunny Anaheim. I can't believe it. This weather's great, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It's California. What do you expect?
It's beautiful. It's California. It's Jennie Abarca is joining us. She, of course, with King Fio Trucking. And you can hear my messages are lighting up. People are sending me messages as we speak. A lot of action going on over here at the Expo. It's just a nice kind of, we're pivoting away from some of the bigger boys, and we're talking more about how those who are flexible, those who are adaptable, can actually be part of this wave of sustainability and a whole bunch of other really kind of groovy stuff that's going to take us into the 21st century. Let's talk a little bit about your company.
Okay.
Because you're the owner of it.
I am the owner.
And
I am a girl trucker.
You know, and let's talk a little bit about what it is and how it kind of functions, and then we'll talk about why your presence here is so important for both you and I think the industry at large.
So I am a dray woman. I move containers in and out of the Port of Long Beach, Port of Los Angeles, and all the adjacent rails, and that's what I've always done. I am a 32 truck operation, 8 of which are zero emissions, and I'm working on a 9th. And this is the future of our business. This is where we are going. We are going into this, we are moving forward into zero emissions. It doesn't really matter what is going on in the world. Sustainability, lowering our carbon footprint, this is extremely important to where King Fio is going in the future.
How did you get your start in all of this?
So, in zero emissions or in trucking?
In trucking.
Okay. As a young woman, 19, 20 years old, I had a friend who had a trucking company, a family friend, and I went and worked for him. And that's where it started. That business sold to a bigger company, and I stayed with that company for quite a while. And eventually I met a truck driver, and we got married. And we bought our first truck in 2011. And on my honeymoon, I was buying truck 3 and 4. So, and then we're now 32 trucks later.
It's remarkable, and I always say this, how much it hooks you.
It does.
There's a point where, Tara, who you've met, she and I went over to the National Truck Driving Championships.
Right.
And she'd been working for us about 6 months, and she turned to me and she said, "Oh my God, I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it." And it
Right.
makes you passionate about doing this job, but also about how to make the job better,
Right.
safer, more sustainable,
Yes.
easier, right?
Yes. Especially drayage, every day is Super Bowl Sunday. You have all this work, this mountain of work, and you only have so many assets, and drivers fall off, someone gets stuck in the port, you get a flat tire, a radiator, hose blows, and so it's like everything is just making the Hail Mary pass and getting your day done. So it's a very exciting industry. I love it. I was raised by a mechanic, so I'm kind of rough, and so I just fit in perfectly.
Well, and the other thing is, too, it's one of my favorite things about this industry and about radio in general is the fact that we stay one step ahead of the sheriff.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's literally
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
I mean, essentially, it's like, it's like Satchel Page's great line, "Don't look back, they might be
Right.
gaining on you."
Yes.
I mean,
we are definitely modern-day cowboys.
And
Yeah.
so you almost have to kind of figure out the things in front of you that are coming
Yes.
to be able to adapt to them
Yes.
as they arrive. So
Right.
talk to me about, you actually came at an amazing time into trucking because
Yes.
it was beginning to have those rumblings of sustainability,
Right.
electrification, where do we go next? Talk
Correct.
to me about how you guys put your finger to the wind and figured out which way the wind was blowing and got there before a lot of other people did.
So, in 2023, I came to my first ACT Expo, and I was absolutely blown away. I just saw this big ball of progress, of technological progress, sustainability progress, women in the industry, the changing the way we drive. I just saw this snowball coming, and I think sometimes in trucking we're scared to change. The old.
No,
the
you mean
old,
to tell me that trucking is rooted in its previous ways?
Right,
And by the way, how
right.
many owner-operators does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
That light bulb can't change. It's always been like
right.
that. I mean, exactly.
So in 2023, it really became apparent to me that this industry was changing, and I'm a little person. I'm nobody. I don't have the backing of any kind of big company behind me.
How many trucks?
32.
How many did you start with?
1.
I think you're doing okay.
Oh yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good.
But you are. I mean, you are.
Right.
You are the very definition of a small business owner.
Exactly.
You represent. When people look at you, that's who they're looking at when they see
Right.
the 90% plus
Exactly.
of small businesses on the highway.
Exactly. And so I saw all these changes that were coming, and I said to myself, we're going to be the first. We're going to get this going. We're going to get this rolling, and we're going to be the first. I also, I'm a mom. I care about clean air. I care about what my kids are going to have to deal with when they're older. I care about the legacy of my business. King Fio is my grandfather's name, Fiodavante Giannino. I care about his name. So coming to ACT, seeing all this progress, seeing the sustainability options, I was like, this is where we're going, and I want to be the first.
Well, and the other thing is about the idea about that community impact is the
Yes.
idea that it actually, trucking always is wrestling with the heroes of the road,
Right.
those scumbags ruining everything for everybody on the
Right.
road, and always in between there. If trucking takes pole position on sustainability, they become better ambassadors not just for sustainability issues, but for trucking in general.
Right,
correct?
and also truck drivers. Show me a truck driver whose shoulders don't hurt. Show me a truck driver whose legs don't hurt. Show me a truck driver who can hear.
Well, I was
Right?
going to say, I am actually legally deaf in my
Yeah.
left ear, and I will get inside of a truck and I'll be like, man, there's things about electrics I'm still getting used to.
Right.
Nothing's better than sitting inside an electric truck if you have hearing problems.
Right, exactly. And not just the drivers, but our yards are next to residences. We're in these cities where people live. And I'm telling you, it's a lot nicer to have a yard when there's EVs in it and you're next to a house. Maybe that house has children sleeping in it, than to have a yard full of 30 diesels huffing and puffing with a family next door.
We're going to have Republic Services on later, and we had a conversation with them earlier this year about the idea. Imagine a time when the garbage trucks can show up and not make a sound until the garbage starts getting dumped.
Right. Same line of reasoning. Imagine a time when your diesel's pretty much silent.
Yeah, and the other thing that causes a real problem with that, and you probably have thought about this, there's a neighborhood in New Orleans where there's a railroad track. Well,
Right.
the railroad track was there
Right.
first, and these people moved
Right.
to this charming sort of, in the city neighborhood.
Yeah.
And now they're complaining about the
Right.
railroad
Yes.
track. And part of you says, get over yourself, but
Right.
part of you says, we've got to be able to live together
Yeah.
if this is going to work.
Yes.
Because you guys need staging areas.
Yes, well, and definitely in Long Beach and the adjacent cities of the port, a lot of the draymen have been pushed out, and I'm hoping that cities will allow them to come back in if it's a zero emissions footprint.
Yeah, because it's so important too. It's almost like police and first responders. You've got to be able to also live
Right.
in the communities that you serve.
Exactly.
And if
Yeah.
you have to drive all the way out to some kind of
Right.
mustering yard or hub,
Right.
then it makes it less easy to live in those neighborhoods
Right.
and be part of the fabric of the community.
Right, and I mean, the port, time is everything. So the quicker I can get to my yard, drop my load, get another chassis, and go back to the terminal, the better day we're going to have.
How do we communicate that though to people? It's like, that stuff you're getting, the reason it's so expensive is we have to drive further to bring it to
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I mean, how do we do that as members of the community? How do we kind of take point on both explaining the sustainability issues, but also explaining to people how important the human beings and the ability to get stuff to human beings is
Right.
in this environment?
So there's kind of a disconnect right now, but in what is being said in these big companies, these big BCOs about zero emissions and their sustainability and carbon goals, and what's actually happening with the carrier. There is a big middle space where that person in the middle doesn't quite care about what I'm doing. And I hope that being here at ACT, I'm going to speak at ACT, I hope it reaches some of these sustainability managers and some of these bigger companies like, hey, I'm here, I can do this for you, and let's start talking.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to talk about? Can you give us a little preview about that?
Sure. I like to talk a lot about how, as a small drayman, how I was able to buy 8 EVs. I like to talk about the grants, what packages they were able to put together for me. I like to talk about where I go, how the trucks operate, that the technology's fabulous, that they're working great. I like to talk about charging. I like to talk about how in an EV, you have taken back your power from the pump. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter if there's a war in Russia. In an electric vehicle, I have the power in terms of fueling my vehicle.
All right, we're going to run out of time here.
Okay.
Jennie Abarca is joining us this
Thank
morning
you.
for a great conversation, the owner of King Fio Trucking, founder and owner of
Yes,
King Fio
yes.
Trucking. That's an important distinction,
Yes,
too. That,
and the first woman in this seat today, I heard.
yeah, I know. I'm actually thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much.
But listen, really quickly, what are you going to do for fun now that you're here?
Maybe go have a glass of Prosecco.
I don't. By the way, my wife would completely approve of that.
Perfect.
I always get told that. You go into the store, pick up some Prosecco.
Of course. I'm an Italian. That's what we drink.
Oh, I got it. By the way, I'm an Irishman. We try to drink as little as possible.
Okay.
No. We're going to be right back on the show, guys. Hey, it's RadioNemo.com, channel 146. Go to RadioNemo.com and subscribe over there. Go to YouTube, find our page, Radio Nemo, subscribe over there. We're going to get this content up. I know Tara the Turtle is actually listening. We'll make sure we get this particular content up. Big thanks to you. Thank you for making
so much
the time.
for having me and for listening to our story.
You got it.
Thank
We will
you.
be right back after these messages.